Saurav Gupta, let's go across to you then. Of course, questions will be raised to the Mumbai police. These are some very damning allegations made. They say they have a scam. They say that they have unearthed this scam. They have seen an exchange of money and they have made 2 arrests. Arnav Goswami of Republic TV already putting out a statement saying that the Mumbai police will be sued. What are you learning from the Mumbai police? How strong is their case? Do they have, as experts and commentators have just mentioned, they will be asked for the proof to back up these allegations?
Well, the statement of Republic TV does mention certain things like Palghar, but let me just clarify one thing. Palghar had nothing to do with the Mumbai police. Palghar is in a different district. It's a different police force. It may be the same state government, but it's definitely not the same police force. And that's the first, distinction that one can make. But the fact really is that, the Mumbai Police Commissioner just finished another meeting and walked past. And we were trying to ask him that, what is the evidence that you have, so to speak. He says, we have enough evidence. It is only because of that we made the arrests, and the arrests itself, we've told the court that we've got custody. In fact, they've said in the press statement as well that an offence has been registered at the Kandivali police station, and the arrested accused persons were produced before the honourable, magistrate, and they've been remanded to crime branch custody till the 9th of October. So, like Vasu was saying, this has been perhaps the worst kept, secret of television news. And unfortunately, NDTV has been speaking out about this for a long time. But this is something now, like Vasu was pointing out, that it's unfortunate that the cleanup needed to happen from the outside rather than happening from the inside. But the fact is that as far as evidence is concerned, the Mumbai Police Commissioner says that they're not worried about any notice. And the fact is that they have enough evidence, and that they will carry out the investigation and summon whoever's required.
Saurav, I think it's important to just for you to recap for us, what is this evidence? What are the details that they've shared of how this scam worked?
Well, they're saying, yes, so they are saying that, obviously it was the leak that came from ex-employees, and they had revealed where these people meters or barometers, as the police commissioner referred to them, were placed. Based on that, those homes were paid a certain amount of money, and like we were saying earlier, Vasu, the amount of money isn't really that big because these were mostly low-income households. So 400 to 500 rupees a month, but they would keep the channel running. Now, how does this help? Now, if the channel was running in these homes, then they would show higher viewership, and that would, of course, mean higher advertising revenue. So that's what the scam is all about.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Saurav. We'll come back to you. Sarah.
Let's actually just go in for a quick break, and we'll, of course, going to stay on this story, but given how big it is, actually, let's drop that break. Let's just recap for our viewers the big breaking story at this hour. The Mumbai police saying that they have proof against 3 channels. This is the big breaking story, that they have proof against 3 channels, including the Republic channel. The Mumbai Police Commissioner saying that they've exposed Republic TV and two other small Marathi local channels, and they say that these channels have been manipulating TRPs by bribing households for about 400 to 500 rupees per month. That may sound like a small amount, but when you talk about the advertising, because advertisers advertise on channels based on the TRPs that they claim to have. So when it all adds up to larger numbers, but the Mumbai police saying that these households that had these people meters in them were being bribed to keep the TV on to these specific channels, as of now on Republic TV and on 2 local Marathi channels. But listen in to the Mumbai Police Commissioner earlier today.
उन हाउसहोल्ड्स को जिनका डेटा दिया जा रहा था, पैसा देकर टीआरपी को मैनिपुलेट करने का कार्य किया जा रहा था। जो मैनिपुलेटेड हाउस होल्ड्स थे, जो डेटा मैनिपुलेट किया जा रहा था, उन हाउस होल्ड्स को बोला जाता था कि आप किसी विशेष चैनल को ऑन रखिएगा, आप देखें या ना देखें, लेकिन ये चैनल ऑन रहना चाहिए। BARC ने जो अपनी एनालिटिकल रिपोर्ट सबमिट की है, उसमें जो नाम सामने आया है वो है रिपब्लिक टेलीविज़न का, जिसमें के सस्पिशन ट्रेंड्स TRP के देखे गए। हमने ऐसे कस्टमर्स जिनको अप्रोच किया गया था, मैनिपुलेट किया गया था, जब उनको बुला के उनसे पूछताछ करी तो उन्होंने एडमिट किया कि उनको पैसा दिया गया था ये विशेष चैनल को ऑपरेट करने के लिए। ऐसे कुछ व्यक्तियों को लाके उनके बयान नोट किए गए हैं, उन्होंने कंफर्म किया है।
All right, let's go across to Geeta Bhatt, joining us, political analyst with pro-BJP leaning. Geeta Bhatt, your reactions. This has been an open secret in the television industry, a dirty dark secret, and the Mumbai police now saying that TRPs were being manipulated by 3 channels, 2 local channels, one of them not a local channel, Republic TV, and they're going to be going to the central government with the facts of this case.
Well, you see, because we all know that journalism is this is the 4th pillar of democracy, and hence they are like. Irrespective of all media houses, they are expected to be, they are like the watchdogs keeping an eye over the executive, over the judiciary, and over in general, the kind of, the way the state runs. At such a time, when this information which has come from Mumbai police, we need to look into, into further investigations, because the particular channel which is claiming that the data which has been released by the Maharashtra police is not right. Now, what exactly is the information is right or wrong? Because we have seen earlier that it was even in the Palghar case, they were being again and again. This particular channel was being interrogated for covering the issue. So at times, if whether the state is doing the data which has been released is really true, or is it that there is some kind of a witch hunt in it, is something that needs to be seen. Seeing the last couple of months, the kind of exchanges which have taken place between Mumbai police and particular channel.
Go ahead. You were saying. Go ahead.
Yes. So I was saying that this is something to be which we with a little bit more details when the Mumbai police will come out, then the picture will become much more clearer. Because in this respect, if you see that, I think the core issue which needs to be discussed is that the kind of journalism that is happening today, it needs to be ethical. Like we have seen recently, there are certain channels which have been fined by NBSA. Because they felt that, they are not, as per the standards that have been set up by the National Broadcasting Standards, they are not being kept, and they have asked them to, apologize on air for particular context of certain programs that have been broadcasted. So, whether you look at it in terms of TRP or whether you look at it in terms of the kind of content that is being shown on the television, what is of importance is that it is the truth which is put forth by the media channels and not manipulated in any manner. Whether it is in terms of putting up the content, that also has been, there are few channels, national channels, who have been fined for it by NBSA, and with this news coming regarding TRP. So in every respect, what is important is that the channels or the media houses need to stick to what is truth.
Sure. Geeta, I have a counter question for you. Given the fact that it is only today that the Supreme Court pulled up the Centre for what it's called its offensive, brazen response, where it said that freedom of speech was being abused. This is, of course, in the petitions where the media has been spreading hatred on the Tablighi meet in Delhi at the start of the coronavirus pandemic. But before that, I want to just play out the statement that has been put out by Arnab Goswami of Republic TV. Remember, Republic TV has been named by the Mumbai police as part of this scam, where this channel, along with other channels, as of now 2 other local channels named, had been manipulating TRPs. Now, Arnab Goswami has put out a statement where he says these are false allegations. According to this statement, Republic TV will file a criminal defamation case against the top cop. He says in this statement that not a single BARC report mentions Republic TV, and they are also alleging that there is a political angle behind this press conference by the police, because their statement says that Paramveer Singh's probe in the SSR case is under a cloud and that the Mumbai top cop should issue an official apology. Srinivasan Jain, the fact here that Arnab Goswami's statement says that not a single BARC report mentions Republic TV. That is something that raises the question, as you point out, why is this being investigated by an outside agency? This is something, these allegations have been made, and NDTV has been crying itself hoarse since 2012 about this manipulation of TRP ratings. Does it not also reflect poorly on the television industry and on BARC if Republic TV is putting out a statement where it says that no single BARC report mentions Republic TV so far?
That's right. I mean, we'll have to try to understand exactly what he means by that. I think he was referring to something that the Mumbai Police Commissioner actually said in his press conference, that BARC had red flagged Republic TV as amongst those channels which had witnessed a very unusual spike in their ratings in this recent period. But of course, you're right to say that, and we've been saying this throughout since the story broke, that there has not been that internal cleanup. There has not been those internal red flags which would have preempted the police from launching a criminal investigation had these rating agencies chosen to act proactively. Now that they're doing it, it does allow someone like Arnab to turn around and say, look, this is all political, this is coming from the Mumbai police, I've been going after them in the Sushant Singh Rajput case, and that's why they're coming after me. But the fact is, we do know that this is an existing malpractice. Could there have been a better way for it to have been exposed? Yes. But the fact that this has now been exposed has finally taken the lid off this dirty secret, and let's hope that it does lead to some sort of cleanup of the system.
All right, Nalini Singh joins us, senior journalist. Nalini, your reaction to this big breaking story, and this also coming on a day when the Supreme Court really pulled up the center for its response on that case that involves the Tablighi Jamaat gathering in Delhi at the start of the coronavirus pandemic. The top court berated the center, the government, for filing what it called an offensive, brazen response, lackadaisical response to this very serious issue of misreporting, mismanagement, all in the race for TRPs.
Yeah. Sarah, I was actually in the middle of writing an article called Fiction TV. We were actually progressing, sliding very fast into becoming Fiction TV. We were sliding very fast into becoming Banana TV. So I would say that to me it is a complete delight that we have had the Supreme Court, no less than the Supreme Court of India, saying that there has been manipulation in the Tablighi Jamaat and how they were super spreaders, and how the media, television especially, took it up. And of course, digital media, let's not even go there. Secondly, that in today's context, when we have the Police Commissioner of Bombay, saying that they have discovered this TRP manipulation, it is 8 years too late. I think it was 2012 when TRP manipulation was actually exposed, and you and Vasu are completely right that BARC did nothing. Now, BARC, which followed Nielsen ratings, which was then, I think, in some sort of disgrace. But BARC, what has it done itself? Just one quick thing I want to say. Yes. How much does BARC's heart beat for the Indian viewer? You know, BARC's entry fee for any television channel is 25 lakh rupees or more. Small channels are left out. So you don't have any ratings for smaller channels.
Right. In fact, Nalini Singh, I'll just come back to you in a second, because we also have with us S.Y. Qureshi. Dr. S.Y. Qureshi is with us, Sarah, as well. Now, remember, he's someone who's been on the NBSA as well, which is our Broadcasting Standards Authority. And also, Dr. Qureshi, you have been former Secretary, INB Ministry. And in fact, you were telling me just before I went on air that this is a malaise which you'd identified even then.
Yes. DG Doordarshan Secretary 1 and 2. And that is the time when we saw this problem at its peak. And I was the only one who was crying himself hoarse, but nobody bothered. In fact, they almost made me feel stupid. And, you know, just to give you a bit of history, there used to be earlier two agencies called TAM and INTAM. They were giving totally opposite results. So the TAM, the richer one, bought INTAM and used a very beautiful term. And now we have a single currency. Even experts in Doordarshan were also very intrigued, were very pleased with this term, single currency. To me, single currency was cartelization. When the different gangs come together as a single currency, it becomes dangerous to catch them. And, you know, the people meter. Everybody talks of people meters. At that time, there were 3,000. Now there may be 30, 40,000. Now, 30, 40,000 people meter decide about 270 billion Indian rupees worth of TV advertising. Obviously, the stakes are extremely high. So, now, I talked to many people. Nobody had ever seen a people meter. But at DG Doordarshan, I got one people meter installed in my room, in my office room, to see how exactly it works. And then, you know, there is a remote and there is a head of the family and the wife and the servant and the kid. Now, initially, I was enthusiastic. I'll keep on changing channel, honestly.
Yes.
If I go to the toilet, I'll switch off. But after 3 days, you just keep one channel on and it is on all the time. Now, I befriended the guy who used to come twice a week to collect the data.
Right.
I said, do you pay? Initially, he denied, but he said, no, we don't pay any money, but we pay them his pressure cooker or wash, you know, utensils and all those kind of things.
Wow.
So,
which is effectively a bribe.
Secondly, what had happened was, around those days, the houses in which people meters were installed got leaked and it was published in a newspaper. And there was a big scam, and of course, after some time, yeah.
Dr. Saab, this is very interesting history you're giving us, but I want to understand from you. You said that when you made a hue and cry about it, everybody laughed at you. Who are these everybody?
Yes.
Who was pushing back against what you were trying to bring out?
You know, obviously, first of all, TAM itself, the rating agency, and our own Doordarshan marketing guy. And then, you know, we organized a meeting with the top 10 advertisers of the country, like Hindustan Levers and others, you know, who were controlling all the money. And we wanted to convince them. We say, look, Doordarshan is also eyeing your money. Other channels are also eyeing your money. But you're being conned. You don't know. We had 54% audience share at that time. But it was being shown as 1% and 1.5%. I said, how can you do that? It's your money. So, you know, after all, we have to go by some standard. These are the only figures. And we have nothing to do. They express foolish helplessness. Then I say, okay, have you talk of TAM? Have you seen a people meter? Nobody had seen. I said, I have. And then I say, you know, also how it works. The people meter normally is installed in your bedroom, on your TV. I said, would you allow some stranger to come twice a week, a bedroom where your wife is alone? So they say, we will not settle not. I said, this is how it works. It is installed in some. So what they do is they find out some poor people who are happy to be bought for 500 rupees a month, and they will maybe you give them a free TV, which will keep a channel on all the time. It's so easy. You know, after all, the 270 billion Indian rupees is at stake. To get that, a few lakh is nothing, is peanut.
So, my final question to you, and then I'll open it up. My colleague Sanket is also there, Sarah is also there, and you know, all of you feel free to jump in. But just final question to you, Dr. Qureshi, that is now what you're tracing, in a sense, is the historic genesis of this ratings corruption. Now, for the first time, it has come out in the open. Mumbai police says they have found that there is evidence that Republic is amongst 3 channels that is doing this. But as someone who's also been in NBSA, and you've seen that there is been this problem which is brought up again and again, even in such forums, that this is a pretty widespread problem. This is a widespread problem, malaise even today.
Yeah, quite right. It is obviously. I was always sure, and I'm glad that this has now been exposed. But I was in NBSA for 7 years, but this was not a complaint which came before us. It was only about the content, news content only.
Right.
So, and that too against the member channels. So the channels in any case were quite compliant.
Sure.
It is those channels who were not happy with that decision and walked out, and who were our problem.
Right. Okay, Sanket, Sarah, please go ahead.
Just wanted to ask a question
Sanket,
of
then
Dr.
just
Qureshi.
pick up on what Dr. S.Y. Qureshi has mentioned here.
Sarah, just one second. I think Sanket wants to...
No,
Sanket, go ahead.
Sarah and Vasu, before we let Dr. Qureshi go, I just want to ask a question.
Yes,
I remember
please.
a couple of days back, he was on our show and he said that as far as NBSA is concerned, unfortunately, what ended up happening is that the people who were willing to, like gentlemen, conform to the guidelines stayed on with the NBSA, and the rogues decided to form either their own association or just be rogues. So do you feel, Dr. Qureshi, that this is perhaps the beginning of the end of these rogues? That the rogues who decided not to conform was perhaps because they wanted to carry on with this scam?
I have written an article recently on this, what should be the shape of media regulation. And I said NBSA is a very great model which has accidentally evolved, because it is a self-regulation, because it is a creation of NBA, and it is independent regulator because Justice J.S. Verma made sure, he made it conditional that nobody will interfere. And I know there was one occasion when the entire NBA was agreed with our hostile decision. So they came to meet us, apparently to chide us, and before we could sense what they're up to, and we said, look, it is like the government coming to the Supreme, calling the Supreme Court, or coming to the Supreme Court that you're giving wrong decisions, but although you are our creation. If you say that, just pack up, we are going home. No, this is not what we want, and they backed off. After that, they never interfered. Now, what happened was that some channels against whom we gave a decision, fine up to 1 lakh we could give, they were not so unhappy to pay. But the fact that we wanted them to air an apology at the prime time and repeatedly, that is what was very insulting, and they resisted. The court cases dragged on, there will be a battery of lawyers coming all the time, and then they chose to leave the NBA. Once you leave the NBA, our jurisdiction ends. So my suggestion was that that is where the ministry should come in. They should make it compulsory for all channels to be part of NBSA. So this is an interesting model which has accidentally evolved. Self-regulation come independent regulation, and it should be strengthened.
Okay. Interesting. Sanket. Sarah.
Yes. Yes, Dr. Qureshi, it's interesting. But the point that I wanted to ask you in last question, I just want to ask you, I'm sure you must have read the statement that has been issued by the quote-unquote scamster in this particular case, who seems to say that he's going to sue the Mumbai police and sue all the channels who are highlighting this story, as they have an axe to grind because their network has done something. Do you feel that an attempt was made to create, first of all, show a vote of no confidence in NBSA, create your own association, perhaps with certain other channels, to carry on with this quote-unquote scam, so that the scam never comes to light?
Yeah, in fact, I would rather keep quiet on that, because one of the channels which left NBA is also in the news in the current controversy. So they were very unhappy with what was going on in the NBSA, and they decided to leave, and they set up their own. But
so,
I don't want to comment on that.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Dr. Qureshi. So let's go across to Priyanka Chaturvedi is with us, senior leader of the Shiv Sena. Thank you so much, Priyanka, for joining us. Priyanka, now, obviously, as we've been saying, that this is a very long-running malaise in our industry, which has finally come out. So that part of it is good. But you've also seen Arnab's statement. He's saying that this is politically motivated. This is being done to target him because he went after Mumbai police, etc., etc. Let me just start off by getting you to respond to that.
I wouldn't want to respond to what the news channel is saying. I will rather concentrate on what has come out of the entire press conference, where categorically the Mumbai Police Commissioner has come on record to say that BARC was being manipulated. Hansa employees had gone rogue and they were helping to game the TRP game. We must understand TRP points matter a lot to advertising revenues, which also ends up mattering to lots of news channels to profit here.
Of course.
So what has unfortunately been revealed clearly is that certain agenda was being carried out. TRP was being manipulated to show that their agenda was something that the country was connecting with, which was definitely far away from the truth. And an investigation is going to be a part of it. Now, we must understand the chronology of how things have worked. Initially, Mumbai Police was investigating the fake accounts that are on social media platforms. Over 80,000 fake accounts have been identified.
Sure.
And as part of the investigation, this has also come forward. So this entire narrative creation, creating news stories out of, pure lies and malice, contempt, hatred, for a particular, political idea of running the agenda as per your political bosses under the garb of being a journalist, being disguised as journalism and being served to the people of this country.
Sure.
What you have ended up doing is manipulating the emotions of the people, gaming this entire country's feelings, and also taking them towards a wrong path, making them believe that they are listening to news story, investigative story, rather than a false propaganda disguised as a story, but actually a false propaganda.
Yes. No, if I may, there's no disputing that part of it. The part of what you're talking about on air is a kind of on-air malpractice of journalism, and we all acknowledge that. It's just as we as other journalists and TV channels don't really comment on that. But that's not in dispute. I think the question really is, how does that connect to the off-air malpractice, which is of rigging and of corruption? How did the police go from one to the other? That's where someone like Arnab can turn around and argue that just because you didn't like my on-air agenda, you tried to come out and sort of put these false charges on me of what I was doing behind the scenes.
No, that's such a ridiculous defense to make, simply because there is evidence which the police commissioner has spoken about. There has been cash found on these people. So he can, of course, want to defend himself. But at the same time, connecting it to Palghar incident, which does not even come under the Mumbai police jurisdiction, and make this about a personal attack on the Mumbai police commissioner. And let's not forget, today Mumbai police stands vindicated of all the charges that were being made against them ever since the Sushant Singh Rajput suicide came into everyone's knowledge. Here was a news channel which was given a free rein as part of the free and fair freedom of speech system of journalism. Everything was allowed on air. An agenda was pushed forward. AIIMS has suitably busted that entire agenda. It is not the Mumbai police, it is the AIIMS report which busts that agenda. CBI has corroborated whatever the AIIMS report is.
Of course.
So if Mumbai police now goes to investigate, they will of course cry vendetta, which is absolutely incorrect, because Mumbai police did not interfere in any kind of journalism, any kind of reporting. Neither did Maharashtra government. This is part of their investigation, and let's not reduce Mumbai police to someone who are out there to seek revenge. Mumbai police is one of the most respected police forces, not just in India, globally. It has broken the spine of the underworld of the drug trade, smuggling trade in Mumbai.
Okay, so you're saying
ridiculous charges.
Okay. So you're saying that this whole action against Republic and Arnab is not because Arnab has been directly taking on the Shiv Sena government, saying, challenging Uddhav, saying, come arrest me, etc., etc. All of that.
So besides Republic, there are also two Marathi channels which have come into the prerogative of investigation.
Sure.
And like I said
but
earlier,
Republic is the biggest name. I mean, that is the biggest name that has come out.
It is the biggest
Mumbai
name
police
of
said that
interest
itself.
Simply because I'll tell you why. 1.3 billion nation does not believe the kind of investigation or the kind of journalism that is shown on that television channel is actually journalism. It's an insult to journalism. And if that is being revealed today, if that they are indulging in criminal practices of earning money through gaming TRPs, if that is revealed today, they have serious questions to answer, and it
Okay.
cannot be called vendetta, revenge, etc., because there is enough evidence to back that claim.
Okay. All right. Priyanka Chaturvedi, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us. Sarah Sanket, it's over to you.
Priyanka Chaturvedi. Sanket, coming over here on one of the important bits that the police commissioner mentioned today in this press conference. He says that this information has been shared with the central government. Now, ratings manipulation, it's a familiar charge in the television industry. NDTV has been crying itself hoarse since 2012 about this. But what have been the central minister's stands on this, the information and broadcasting ministers? Because, the Supreme Court has criticized the race for TRPs. But what has been the information and broadcasting minister's stand? Mr. Javadekar recently also made a statement about this mad race for TRPs.
Well, Sarah, this is an extremely complicated subject because you're basically asking for regulation on the media. As far as TV media is concerned, the rules say that the Cable TV Act is what governs advertising and television news as well as television media in this country. So if there is any wrongdoing as asserted by the government, then the government is entitled to take action. But what if the government does not want to take action? And the government says, and this is often a very, very tricky situation, because when the government does take action, it is criticized as, trying to interfere with the freedom of speech of the media. So is this a case of that freedom of speech being misused by a section of the media, or selective outrage as far as applying principles of that freedom by the government? Extremely complicated subject, but if you go strictly by the rule book, the central government has the jurisdiction under the Cable TV Act of 1995 to take action against channels. It's been accused in the past also of taking undue action just in case it wants to rein some people in, but there are some people, as it is very evident in this particular case, who are not just manipulating the system, but they're also to great extent manipulating advertising and profiting from it. That's, as you rightly said, exactly the position or the plea that NDTV has been making for a very long time, that not only is there fixing as far as ratings is concerned, but people are benefiting from this. It's a part of a larger nexus. The nexus is that you fix the ratings, then you decide what you want people to watch, and then since you have fixed the ratings, you tell the people that this is what is selling, so watch this. And then you get more people to watch this and try to justify that this is what people like and this is what is trending. All of this is being unearthed by the Mumbai police. I think this is a very landmark investigation that has been started by the Mumbai police, and perhaps some sort of a cleanup, much needed cleanup as far as television news is concerned. Do realize that hate for profit media has become a big menace. It's become almost a sort of news terrorism in this country, which is not being liked by a lot. But where are these people who don't like it? Their opinion is not getting reflected as far as the ratings is concerned. Now we know, because of this probe, we know that perhaps all of this was one big scam.
All right, much needed cleanup needed, but how far will this go? What happens next? NCP spokesperson Clyde Castro joins us. Mr. Castro, I'm sure you've seen Republic TV and Arnab Goswami's statements. It's pretty clear it's going to be them taking on the Mumbai police, questioning where they're coming from.
Well, this was about to happen, and this was waiting to happen. Arnab can release statements and he can say, well, that's his prerogative, he can do what he wants to do. But the fact of the matter does not change. I mean, if the Mumbai police has come up with whatever findings that they've got, they're going to follow the process. By him talking and saying things, he's been saying this and he's been doing this for a long time now. I mean, we have to go by what the police commissioner says. And I think more importantly is this whole system needs to be changed. There was a lot of dirt that was being filled up in the last few months. You could see serious journalists being sidelined and called names. You could see journalists like yours being called names at all times. So I think it was about time the system had to be cleaned. And I think this is the right move by the Mumbai police. Also, very importantly, I think one of you mentioned that Republic happens to be a big name. So therefore, there's so much buzz about it. But if you were a big name, how did you become a big name? Now you can just tell that why and how this
All right. All right. Sorry, we seem to have lost the line there with Mr. Castro. Then, Sanket, coming over here, Mr. Castro saying that this is only to be expected that Republic Channel will make this claim that this is all politically motivated. But we at NDTV firmly believe that you are innocent until proven guilty. And so if you look at that statement made by the Mumbai Police Commissioner today, there was a very strong statement he made where he says that poor and uneducated, non-English speaking viewers have been watching these channels all day. Now, this is something we've all been saying in the industry for years. Like I said, NDTV has been saying this since 2012. It was well known. So, of course, the question will be raised, and it is being raised by Republic TV. Why now?
You know, Sarah, as far as these arguments are concerned, I think we'll have to wait for a detailed probe as far as this rating scam is concerned. You and I both know, and as we've been talking, that NDTV has been saying this for a very long time, that this is an open secret. This scam has been running deep. First it was the TAM, and now it is the BARC system, and NDTV has been talking about it very, very openly. The Mumbai police has perhaps unearthed what can only be called the tip of the iceberg. First of all, the system itself. To be able to ascertain how many people are watching you on the basis of just a very few meters, and that 2 meters that can supposedly be fixed. Sorry?
2,000 meters in Mumbai, which means obviously the nationwide ratings can't be dependent on 2,000 meters in Mumbai.
Just imagine a huge city like Mumbai has 2,000 meters. Just imagine. I mean, all that one person needs to know is where those meters are. But again, see, a lot of when the editor and the proprietor of this channel, who's been accused of being a scamster, he goes on and gives a statement that, you know, this is a baseless allegation and I will sue the Mumbai police and this is political vendetta. Well, you know, in the eyes of the law, he's innocent till proven guilty. So the onus will be on him to prove himself innocent, and the onus will be on the Mumbai police to be able to prove him guilty. Because as of this moment, he can very well turn around and say, well, so what is the point? Just because some quote-unquote uneducated Hindi-speaking or Marathi-speaking people are watching my English channel, so what? I mean, there can be an aspirational audience. But we'll have to wait for the fine print. What exactly has the Mumbai police found in its investigation, in its initial investigation and in its detailed probe? Will it be willing to share all this detail with the central agencies? Will the central agencies now come in? Will the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting step in? What is their statement going to be? Will they take cognizance of all the previous statements that have been made, all the previous complaints that have been made? Will there be an investigation into any possible political angle into this, political influence into this? I think this is a much needed investigation, perhaps a bit too late, but a much needed investigation in a cleanup as far as television news media is concerned. Because Sarah, I can bet both you and I are parents. I think gone are those days, just like our parents told us that, beta, you must watch the news to be informed and aware. I don't think we can tell that to our children, at least in this present moment. Let's just hope that because of this investigation, we can see a day, where we can proudly hand over that remote to our children and tell them, why don't you watch the news?
All right, Sanket, hold the thought. Let's get in Mr. Charan Singh Sapra joining us, spokesperson of the Congress. Mr. Sapra, your first reactions when this big breaking story broke with the Mumbai police making their big announcement that the scam has been unearthed of manipulation of TRP ratings.
See, it's a very serious issue. Had it been only rigging of TRP, it would have been a different thing. But in this case, cash is involved. Cash for news TRP or to increase the news TRP is a very serious issue. In this case, I feel Arnab Goswami or Republic Channel, they have deceived the nation. This is an offense against the nation, against the society. It is a more heinous crime than a murder also. I feel the Mumbai Police Commissioner might have collected all the relevant evidences which he will have to produce, and probably a case of sedition should be charged on Arnab Goswami or the directors or the owners of the Republic TV. I feel this is the most heinous crime, and nation wants to know who all are involved in this. Why did they do all this? And what is the modus operandi involved in this? The entire nation wants to know about this big TRP scam.
All right, Nalini Singh also joining us. Nalini, just the tip of the iceberg, so many layers to this story. It's clearly not just the channels, it's clearly in more states than Maharashtra. It's clearly in more channels than just Republic and these two Marathi channels that have been named by the Mumbai police. But is it also advertisers? Were advertisers also aware of what was going on and, you know, playing along?
Sarah, it is an extremely murky situation. You people have mentioned BARC and you mentioned People Meter. We should mention also the DAVP, the Directorate of Audiovisual Publicity, and the Information Broadcasting Minister knows what goes on there. I don't want to be more specific, but just to say that they also have their third-party monitors to say whether their ad went on air or not. It is an extraordinarily murky matrix. The second thing is that, do you know, when now people are saying that this is a political vendetta, I feel that the moment political vendetta has come into the picture, this term, it means that actually many news channels are partisan, and this is this erosion of credibility of news channels is incredibly harmful for any ruling party.
All right, Sanket, before we go into a break, many news channels are partisan. Come in on that, because, you know, news channels in an unfortunate situation, a catch-22 situation, where we claim that rating manipulation is a well-known dirty, dark secret, yet at the same time, we use these ratings and we tweet them out, and we, you know, and that's based on these ratings, the channels that are on the top
Sarah,
are attracting advertisers. Nalini Singh says
Sarah,
all channels are involved.
Sarah, see, it's like saying that there are a lot of allegations as far as elections or electioneering process being bad and faulty and EVM machines being rigged. So let's not have elections. Obviously, there is a fault. I mean, there has to be some mechanism of measuring your performance. And as faulty as it is, this is the measure right now. We've got to improve the measure, but we can't do away with the measure until we have an alternative. So as of now, we don't have an alternative, and this is the measure. If there is a scam related to this measure, if someone has infiltrated into this method and tried to scam this through, then that person should be caught. And I think in this particular case, that really is the allegation. So yes, people do use ratings as a measure of their success or their performance. But if there is a corruption that is happening in this particular method, I think that must be called out. Two things that are being spoken about here. Number one is shoot and scoot journalism that we saw play out yesterday, that a channel that cried hoarse for 3 to 4 months continuously against Riya Chakravarti suddenly went quiet and locked into a new villain, found a new villain yesterday and blacked out the news of the bail of Riya Chakravarti because it did not suit their agenda anymore. That is ethical corruption. The other issue is of this type of corruption where you're manipulating data and manipulating ratings. Is this the tip of the iceberg? What really does the Mumbai police have? We'll have to wait and watch.